When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you are in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex and my co-hosts. Tell them your name and where they can find you, my brother.
It's Bodywork Boxing on YouTube, and it's Bodywork Boxing 24/7 at Gmail, Mr. underscore Bodywork Boxing on the gram.
And before we jump into it, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to emphasize he just put up this amazing post, great content. And the reason why bodywork at like when I watch it, I come to understood bodywork is punishing. They don't get no glory, but a lot of people get worn down. You really show what they're made of if they can withstand the bodywork. So please check out my brother Bodywork Boxing.
Appreciate that, King.
Now, we're going to jump into the welterweight division, but not from the angle. We ain't going to jump into the deep end. We're going to put our feet in there a little bit and kick around perhaps. We heard that the WBA, and I have my ideas and my judgments on the WBA. We Benefit Al, organization. They got interim supers, regulars, irregulars, all kinds of variations of their title. But they have, and we got to be careful with the wording, not ordered, but they have approved Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman if that fight should take place. Let's just start there. What do you think of the prospects or the WBA going ahead and ordering that fight, given what we know about Errol Spence's prospects of opponents?
I could see why they did it. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of think that Stanionis got the short end of the stick on this one of some sort. I mean, I understand it from many different ways. I just think that if Stanionis, get the shaft at the end of the day, I think that he's the biggest loser. But I think for the fans not to get an Earl and a Bud, I think Keith Thurman with all of the build up and all of the talking and then all of the, the history between them, I think the fans actually would win, and even though, especially if Earl didn't want to really take this and he said he would never do it, it's like, man, Thurman, man, he better pack a lunch, man, because you're making a guy do something that he really didn't want to do. So, I think it'll be a good fight.
Well, I definitely like the fight, and one thing I think about Keith Thurman, he is as good outside of the ring as he is in the ring with maneuvering and talking. So I'm gonna talk a little bit. I notoriously refer to Keith Thurman as the gatekeeper, Buckingham Palace's own, and I say that because I feel like a lot of what he could do as far as offering those fights could help out the division when you don't have the Bud and the Spence thing going down, with the lineage he has, with the work he put in at 147, bringing it to the light where we've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
He did that against Garcia, against Porter. He did that. And I feel like, he's not, giving away his legacy, but he certainly is shorting, us the opportunity. And I think the division in boxing to kind of get sorted out. If all these guys, you got enough firepower to talk down on him and say, whatever it is, I never heard of Conor Ben. And he kind of dodged that one now that Conor Ben came out, as I guess trying to conceive a baby. He's on estrogen. But it's like I feel like he's been in the way of a lot of things. So not gatekeeper, but he's in the way. Now, one thing we've heard to kind of corroborate my point, and I want to hear your opinion of it. We heard there was an opportunity with Boots. He was in terms of put business in the way of that. According to Bozianis, Boots' father and trainer, Thurman asked for 10 million. So it in constructs. What do you think about that?
Look, when Keefe, I'm gonna call him Keefe because I have trust issues with Keefe. As an analyzer, where you get paid to analyze and talk sports, because in his downtime he was doing some of that, much like Sean Porter. When he was asked about Boots and he said he didn't know him, at that point I'm like, hold on, red flag. How do you not know this guy? So I guess he knew him by his other name, Sasquatch Feet. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I call him. Yeah. So you need $10 million for a guy around about a year ago you said you didn't even know. So I have trust issues. I could see it because that number came up when it came around to Bud, not going down that path again. But I think that was the initial number, and I think that it's a bartering trip, meaning maybe that was put out there for something to come back and say, like, how you start at 10 and then somebody say, no, 3, and then you go to 7, and then y'all wind up at like 5, 5.5. Maybe that's the strategy, because that's not the first time I've actually heard the 10 million thing. But I think that is a pricey number, knowing the stature of Boots, knowing that, it's pretty much a price out, if you ask me, because right now where Boots is in the building of Boots and where he stands and what we want, I don't know if the price tag could garner that. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree with that point. It's a price out because you're almost asking for something that you can't get in a way to avoid the fight. Now, I could see you trying to get your equity against Pacquiao, but if reportedly he never got 10 to fight Pacquiao, how do you then get 10 to fight Boots Ennis unless you're looking for an insurance policy? You looking to cash out. Give me a little something, you know what I'm saying, to look the other way, okay? Now, in the same vein, you got Stanionis, who we talked about, you mentioned earlier as far as fighting Spence. I guess he's willing to look the other way. How much money could he be getting if he's potentially talking about fighting Virgil Ortiz and I guess not staking his claim for that Spence fight? The fact that the WBA is even saying, hey, well, you could do Thurman when we know, I know Stanionis' position has been with the IBF, but the fact that he's not even, is that, him being offered a nice piece of money and he just said, hey, I'll just take Virgil Ortiz and won't even worry about it. What do you think?
I think right now he know he playing with the house's money, because of his position, and he's stamped in, and he's mature, and the guy is actually, he's very cerebral. I think Stanionis, even though he has the foreign, association, I think that business wise and boxing wise, I think that he's a smart guy, and he knows that right now, if I stay right here, I'm in position. Okay, if they have to grease the wheel, they gotta pay me or I get my shot. And right now in this microwave generation where everybody's trying to rush in, I think it is kind of wise of him to kind of sit back and say, all right, go ahead and give me some bread. Let me train. Let me get more film. You know what I'm saying? Let me get some more time to develop, because he is over here. He's actually stateside. He lives here, speaks very well. He trains hard. And I think that he's doing wise. So he's probably getting a nice little chunk of change. I don't think it's nothing that's going to break the bank, but I think it's more about him maintaining his positioning and not taking any bad media or anything saying, why are you getting in the way? A la Keefe.
Sure. Another point to that is, suppose he take a couple nice high 100,000 bag to step aside, then take a bag for the fight with Virgil Ortiz. That's a way to double up and then say, I still put myself in position, if I do well, to double back and fight one of those guys at 147. So there's a lot of chess on the board with that, man. 147 is still so tricky. We want to see these fights happen. Hopefully they do, but I believe Stanionis, if he does move forward with an Ortiz fight, I don't know. Am I sleeping on Ortiz? But I'm giving Stanionis the experience edge for some reason. Is that fair to do?
Experience edge. Possibly. I would say, yeah, possibly. I mean, he had that guy Butayev. And Butayev, the way Butayev, I mean, that's a card. I mean, that dude was very, very tough. Like to go to the body, much like Virgil. So I think the experience of being in there with that guy is one of them guys where you pretty much, it's almost impossible to just get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really got to really be pressing the issue and got to be smart or just have that skill level to get rid of him, because he's one of them guys that he's going to make you look bad. He's going to make it look ugly, So I give him the advantage. I know that Virgil has Kavalauskas. He has some kind of triangulation going on with Bud, trying to trace Bud. He has Maurice Hooker. So maybe I give him the edge. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe inactivity, maybe on Virgil, and him coming off of I think the last fight Virgil had was a softball, maybe.
Sure.
But I'm kind of leaning towards Stanionis myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Yeah, man, we'll double back to that one if and when that happens. Now, talking about something that's, these lower divisions is yielding a much larger success. And we're talking about now Gervonta Tank Davis versus Hector Garcia. I love this fight. It's a catchweight fight. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I love it. Hector Garcia is a dog, and he came out of nowhere. He jumped in position. got the win over Colbert, and now he's in there and he has the opportunity to get some of that attention and some of that audience that Tank has to really, give an account for himself without risking his standing at 130. I think that's important. Some people immediately going to say he's bringing him up, a division. But again, I'm disregarding that because I'm always going to give a fighter the opportunity to, when he's moving up a weight class, I believe that gives him a slight advantage as well. And we know Tank, him going up to 140 was based solely on his power and not on his physiological frame. He was winging it at 140. Really is really a risk. That's why I give him so much credit at having fought there. But just to talk about this fight coming up, what do you think about that matchup, first of all?
If I start inside the ring, I see boxer puncher versus boxer puncher. And I think I would lean more towards Garcia being more of a boxer than puncher. But the thing is with his power is he has respectable power. When I look at that Cobra fight, Cobra was catching him earlier, and I said, man, why Cobra stop throwing his hands? And I think I can only reason because this guy is very disciplined. He's an Olympian. He has championship pedigree. He goes to the body, and he does have something because something made Chris Colbert start putting his hands in his pocket. He might not be the one-punch knockout artist, but it could be accumulation or it could be setting traps like he do. With Tank, we all know he has that equalizer. He can end the show at any given time. I think that he is more of a pure boxer than a lot of people give him credit for, but he will take shots. So when he's taking shots, they discard the fact that he's really a boxer. But somehow he has to get in position to land those, shots that he land to get the fight over with. So I do see a high-level skill match. Yes, they are going to say something about Hector moving up, but Shakur is moving up too. This is like if they want to make the fights, I think that this is a good name for him. This is not a tune-up at all. And that guy knows that he's playing with the house money too. Because he looked at the success of what Cruz had just by surviving, and Tank had one hand. Well, Tank gonna have two hands. So trying to survive, I don't think that's gonna get it. But if he can go a full 12 rounds, that could set him on a whole nother trajectory. So I like the fight.
And I think, we got to be serious for a minute. It's such a subtle difference between 130 and 135. A lot of fighters struggle to stay at 130. 130 is a very awkward division. Sometimes you see guys blow straight through featherweight to 135. So, I don't see that so much as a difference. Like if some of the detractors are saying, and I'm totally with the whole prospect of house money, because Colbert has mentioned he still wants some, unfinished business with Big Heck Dog. So, and I would love to see that as well. And I'm glad that this is kind of reminiscent of what we're starting to see. We always allude to it with the women's division because I'm always talking about how, they're always trying to unify and become undisputed. So, hats off to these guys. 135 has become one of those popping divisions, right?
Yes, sir.
But let's get back. Women's Boxing Wednesdays. We got to talk about it. And we got a lot of fights coming up this weekend. One fighter that I'm going to mention for Women's Boxing Wednesday is in this weekend's card. And I want to go into some of her backstory, not to tug on her heartstrings, but she is a young lady who's come up through the system, so to speak, from Los Angeles, California. Jamie the Miracle Mitchell. She's a bantamweight fighter. Some triangulation for you guys, okay? The bantamweight division includes Ebony Bridges, the redhead Rachel Ball, not Lucille Ball's cousin, okay? You have Shannon Courtney, the babyface assassin, who defeated Ebony Bridges, but Jamie Mitchell defeated Shannon Courtney for her title. So now you have Jamie Mitchell out here getting ready to defend her title this weekend, that bantamweight title. And again, it's still in the works if they could make that happen. I know that Shannon Bridges got a fight coming up, but I think after that pulls through, and it's funny how these, no matter almost, I want to say it reminds me of like the back in the day when the black fighters and the black politicians and the musicians, they had to go over to the UK to stake their claim. I find that Alicia Bumgarner She has I think, a bigger audience, a bigger presence in the UK. Clarissa Shields' biggest slash was in the UK. Jamie Mitchell won her title in the UK, and this fight is in the UAE. You know, kind of nothing happened on the stateside for her. Can't get a look over here. So shout out to her. She's fighting this weekend, and yeah, man.
Salute to her. Well, I actually had Kali Reis. And it's actually showing that she's inactive now, to my surprise. But she fought like a year ago in a very close fight to Jessica Camara. I mean, you know, the verdict and how that was judged. I think that was a very close fight. She actually edged it. She's Cape Verdean. She's from Rhode Island. And one of the things that stuck out, man, she is a woman of many, many talents. Yeah. She's actually a actress. Catch the Fair One. She actually has a movie out. She actually won a couple of awards. She won an award and actually got nominated for 2 other ones. But this goes to show that, you know, actually from announcing the fights, being a boxer, she's using that and everything that she's experienced to actually transition, and she's having a lot of success. She's being described as both as a professional boxer and an American actress. She suffered some adversity back in 2013. She was in a motorcycle accident. She actually came back. She was actually able to fight. And when I see her, I always seen her hitting the bags or whatever. And I kind of grew familiar with her, getting to know, you know, the fighters across the pond, watching the zone. So I actually started hearing her, you know, call fights and talk about boxing. I like her boxing IQ. And then saw that she actually do fight. You know what I'm saying? I actually liked her style, but she shared the ring with like Cecilia Brækhus, Christina Hammer, who else? A couple of them, some heavy hitters, and she's went the distance with all of them. You know, to go 10 rounds with some of them women, you know, you got to be able to, you know, hang in there, and you got to have some skills. So I just wanted to shout her out. I didn't know she was inactive, but I still see her. Her presence is known, but it's just a tribute that, you know, women's boxing can lead to many things, you know, from inside the ring to commentating to maybe even getting on the big screen. So, you know, salute to her.
Well, to your point, that's part of the reason why she just recently, you know, if she has to vacate, she's willing to, if she didn't already, because she landed a big role that's going to have her preoccupied, you know, instead of being able. So listen, and it's not the fair equity in women's boxing for them to continue to fight where she could give up that opportunity. So nah, man, it's definitely a balancing act, and you try to create those opportunities on the back end because the boxing does not last forever.
Exactly. And she got all her faculties. That says something. When you're on the big screen, you got to be, you know what I'm saying? So she didn't take too much punishment. Note to the ladies, you know what I'm saying? Box, you better box. You know what I'm saying? Move. Get that head on the swivel, because you might have to use that brain after boxing.
Yo, and to that point, like Jamie Mitchell's opponent, right? This is a title defense. She's in there against Nina Hughes. And I guess we won't get into the weekend's action, you know. She's in there against Nina Hughes. Nina Hughes is undefeated. I think she's 6-0, bringing her right into a title shot against Jamie Mitchell. So, I mean, this is what you got to do with women's boxing, because it's like, what is she going to rest on her laurels and fight what opponent with what record? No, if it's a young girl that's undefeated and she's ready and she's ranked, you know, and this young girl is not afraid to either capture that belt and wear that pressure, a la what Sandy Ryan did. Sandy Ryan, in her first attempt, she came up short. Then the second time around, she got the belt. So, you know, it's always great to see how they pit him up against, because if this young girl lose, she's still not going to cry. We're not going to throw her away at 6-1. We're going to say, yo, look at who she fought.
Right.
In her 7th pro fight, right?
Get her right back in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So speaking of right back in there, Regis Prograis is in there against a guy that was, I guess, in a minor fender bender, but he's right back in there, medically cleared. Jose Zepeda, 140-pound division bout. You know, this is for one of the belts that was vacated by Josh Taylor. We talked a little bit about this. Do you have any other insight into this fight as far as your picks, or anything change your mind?
Man, I'm still leaning. Man, it's man, I would say 55-45 maybe. You know, I mean, it's close to me. And I the guys like Zepeda, I think it's something about when that competition is a little bit bigger, man. Being that underdog, man. So It's like I'm leaning towards Regis. I want that story, you know what I'm saying, to be 2-time, and I want him to be able to, say, hey, look, I took the stairs, I did it the hard way, I didn't give up, but I'm leaning towards Regis, but it wouldn't surprise me, man. It wouldn't surprise me if Regis gets too overzealous,
Yeah.
gets too cocky, or comes in thinking I got this, because Zepeda can surprise you. So I just look for a glorified chess match. I think it's like number 1 and number 2. So the fans win in that one. So regardless of what happens, and if it's good enough, we get a rubber match. So I want it to be that good.
And for me, it's kind of the conflict between, can Regis stay disciplined enough? You know what I'm saying? When Zepeda start winging shots and start moving around, I know Regis is going to try to pressure him down and land power shots, but can he change it up a bit if Zepeda starts, switching it up on him? Can he stay disciplined and not try to eat the shots to land the shots? I don't want Regis fighting Mexican style, and he does have a tendency to kind of go for it when he could, box a little bit and pull back, avoiding certain shots, give the round a different complexion if it's close and judges are trying to score it. And I would love to see that from Regis. And so I'm giving him an edge, and I'm being hopeful, although I'm like you, I wouldn't be surprised if Zepeda pulled it out. But I'm also giving Regis a kind of a case for being garage kept a little bit, although mentally he's had to kind of go through some things. He's garage kept. He hasn't been worn out. You know what I'm saying? The inactivity, I don't think, has hurt him because he has the resources to stay active. So it's just a matter of how he approaches this fight mentally and doesn't get overzealous, like you pointed out.
And I think, one last thing on this.
Oh, for sure.
I believe that see, Regis, if he can land, I think he's going to be the aggressor. The thing is, with Zepeda, he's a good counter puncher.
Yeah.
So it'll be the shot and how he dip or how he slip, you know what I'm saying, and what he coming back with that, is just the mystery to me. It's like he's going, because he's a good counter puncher. So that's what I'm looking for in this fight. I'm looking for Regis being the aggressor and Zepeda trying to counter with, you know what I'm saying, something nice, So I think it's going to be a good fight.
Fans definitely win on this one, man. We also got Zach Parker and John Ryder. We talked about this, and I've definitely followed the UK fight scene. I'm very aware of both of these guys, but we talked about them just in reference to the whole Canelo triangulation thing. If he returns, could John Ryder be an opponent? And you know what? I gotta respect, a lot of respect and appreciation for your approach to this boxing thing, because you won't just sit back and be like, yo, I never heard of him. You'll be like, yo, I'm about to do my research on him before and I love that.
Yeah.
So, given, it's Ryder coming off of the whole Daniel Jacobs thing. Parker is coming off of a domestic opponent. Do you have a dog in this fight? Because I guess maybe one of these guys will end up fighting Canelo, but do you have a dog in this fight, or do you see this fight going a particular way?
The fact that this fight got made, I'm thinking, man, maybe the winner is in the Canelo sweepstakes.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is, it's really set for Ryder. I'm going to stick to that. It's set for Ryder. However, I'll pick Parker in this fight. I think that breadbasket, he likes to go to the body. You know what I'm saying? I think that if the thing is with Zach Parker is, if you get him on the inside, you can take advantage of him, because then he's giving up his advantage, his ranginess, you know what I'm saying, his height and his ranginess, and he can get caught. And he likes to kind of do a little, I don't know if that's a Philly shell or what, but if you kind of aggressive, I just don't think that Ryder is aggressive enough to catch him like that. I think that Parker's going to try to stay mid-range on the outside. He's going to do that stab jab to the breadbasket, and he's just going to break you down. And I think that he does have more power. I seen a lot of, feel like I saw a lot of tussling in the Danny Jacobs fight. I seen a lot of
tussling.
It's like a lot of, and I think that, I don't know if he has the kind of style where he can take advantage of Parker on the inside in the clinch like that. I just think that if Zach Parker want to make a statement, and they did dangle that ginger carrot on a stick for him, then he gonna show out, man. He gonna go to that body. So I'm gonna go with the guy that do the better body work on this one.
I could also see them throwing it out there. If Ryder, wins, it's a rematch with Jacobs. If Canelo decides to go in another direction, or if Jacobs is still hungry for another bag, then they give it to Parker. You know, because Danny Jacobs is just one of those guys. He always finds a way to sneak himself into the conversation. He's like a bridge, you know, like a median kind of guy. So, you know, I just wouldn't be surprised. But of course, you know, I'm on it, so I'm gonna watch this one. Another one we got to talk about. This is a great card featuring a lady that I mentioned, but let's get to the heavy business first. Dillian White versus Jermaine Franklin, heavyweight division action. What do you think?
Man, I think Dillian is probably gonna get rid of him, man. I think Dillian is one of them guys where if you don't belong in there for real at this point, then he gonna get rid of you. Especially with that. That was who was that? Povetkin that last one. You know, I
Yeah.
think now he didn't realize, hey, look, it's bigger, brighter paydays up there. You know what I'm saying? If I want to continue to get the people that don't belong, he gotta show that they don't belong. You know, I think, you know, I got Dillian White. You know, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, but I am learning. You know, I'm not against him. I'm not a fan, but I got Dillian White. I think he's gonna hit Buddy with something at some point. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I got Dillian White. You know, maybe it's the bias. Don't judge the flag in the corner, but it's just the level of opposition. It's the experience. I know Franklin's gonna be trying to throw bombs, but I'm sorry, Dillian White's been hit by Derek Chisora bombs. He's been hit by Anthony Joshua bombs. He's been hit by Tyson Fury bombs. He's been hit by Povetkin bombs. I mean, come on. And I'm not disrespecting Jermaine Franklin. I'm just saying that there is levels to this in the heavyweight division. You know, I think there's a lot more room to be a respectable gatekeeper as a heavyweight because it's like really like a bouncer. Dillian White was actually a bouncer. You got to get through me. And he is a good guy to give if anybody stateside, and this is an Eddie Hearn production. So it's like,
Hmm.
it's one of those push plays. Like, yo, what do I think of Jermaine Franklin? I must love him. I'm giving him the opportunity against Dillian White, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, very tricky, but I definitely got Dillian White, man. Also on this card, man, you got my girl, Sandy Ryan is on here. I don't know if I put her on the docket, man, but she's definitely on this card, man.
Yeah, she
Not in a
looks good.
title defense, but still building. And so do we got anything else this weekend? I'm not
Uh,
sure if I got everything.
I think you covered it all. I think we good.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So you know,
Yeah.
and I like this amount of action because the one card, you know, the whole DAZN thing is like I said, Sandy Ryan's on there. It's got a few good fights on there. There's a domestic card on Sunday with Adam Azim on there out in the UK. I might talk about that on my blog on IG, but yeah, man, the championship rounds is where we really kind of pick things apart. And remember, this body work is important. It's so important. And it's funny, not just the content you create, my brother, but just to the fight game. You talk about Zach Parker. What is his chance? A stab jab to the body. All right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you gave another fight. I can't recall, but you gave it out because he said he no Hector Garcia because he
Yeah.
goes to the body.
Yeah.
So these conversations and how we break it down in these championship rounds is so important, man. So I need you, ladies and gentlemen, if you check us out, share it, tell a friend to tell a friend, drop a like, hit us in the DM. Please don't plagiarize too tough. We don't mind feeding the trolls, but if you get like stray cats, we don't like cats, man. They nasty. You know what I'm saying? So please, man. Anything you want to
Respectfully.
respectfully, absolutely, respectfully. Anything else
Nah,
you want to close out with, my brother?
no, thanks, man. I have fun every time I come on, man. I grow, I learn, you know what I'm saying? I have a good time, you know, I always walk away, you know, feeling good about the state of boxing, knowing that we talking about it, you know what I'm saying? We love it, you know what I'm saying? We would do it for free, you know what I'm saying? Which we doing, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I just appreciate you letting me get that body work in and have me in for the championship rounds. And check me out on YouTube. Bodywork Boxing on YouTube. It's Bodywork Boxing 24/7 at Gmail. If you want to collab, if you got something you want to send, you got any ideas, you want to partner, you know what I'm saying, or something, do something productive and positive. You can hit me there. Or you can do Mr. underscore Bodywork Boxing on the gram here at Bodywork Boxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
And that's what counts, ladies and gentlemen, in those championship rounds. We out of here.